Every day we wake up to news that reminds us of how fragile life truly is. Today, the world lost four remarkable American legends. People who inspired us, entertained us, and shaped our culture in ways we'll never forget. Their stories remind us that greatness isn't about how long we live. It's about the mark we leave behind.
A quiet sadness settled across the film community today as news was confirmed of the passing of Sally Kirkland Jr., the bold and fearless artist who spent more than 60 years shaping American independent cinema. Her departure brings a gentle pause to a career built on raw emotion, artistic risk, and a deep belief in the power of performance. For many, the news felt like losing a piece of Hollywood's rebellious heart, a voice that never stopped pushing boundaries. Sally Kirkland Jr. was born into a world of style, creativity, and pressure. Her mother, Sally Kirkland Sr., was a respected fashion editor at Life and Vogue, and young Sally grew up surrounded by artistic ambition. But she chose a different path, one that led her into the wild, unfiltered world of New York's avant-garde theater scene. She entered the Factory, the artistic home of Andy Warhol, where creativity had no rules and no limits. It was there that she embraced the kind of art that demanded honesty, vulnerability, and courage. Throughout the 1960s and 1970s, she became known for roles that challenged the expectations placed on actresses. She took on characters who were flawed, intense, and deeply human. Her performances carried a kind of emotional truth that audiences rarely saw. Her friends often said that she acted from the soul, and that every role felt like a piece of her own story. Her career eventually expanded far beyond underground theater. She appeared in more than 250 film and television projects, becoming one of the most hardworking figures in Hollywood. Despite the scale of her filmography, she never lost the independent spirit that defined her early years. Even as she worked alongside well-known names, she held on to the raw artistic instinct that first pushed her into the spotlight. News of her passing at 84 has brought gentle tributes from across the entertainment world. One longtime collaborator shared, "Sally lived every scene like it was the last one she would ever perform." Another tribute from a younger actress read, "She taught me what it means to be fearless on camera." These words reflect the deep respect she earned from both her peers and those who followed in her footsteps. In her personal life, Sally struggled at times with loneliness, self-doubt, and the constant pressure of staying relevant in an industry that often moves on too quickly. Yet she never allowed those struggles to silence her voice. She worked continuously, showing up on sets with a fire that inspired everyone around her. Crew members often described her as gentle and warm, someone who made even the smallest moments feel meaningful. As she moved into the later decades of her career, Sally took on roles that allowed her to express her experiences as a woman who had lived through countless artistic eras. Each performance carried the weight of her journey from the underground halls of New York to the bright lights of Hollywood and back into the independent projects she loved most. Filmmakers admired her range. Students admired her courage. Audiences admired her authenticity. One of the most touching tributes came from a director she worked with in recent years. He wrote, "Sally didn't just play characters. She became their memories, their pain, their hope. She gave them life, and in return, they helped define hers." His words capture what made her work unforgettable. She understood the emotional heartbeat behind every story. Sally Kirkland Jr.'s influence reached beyond film. She was known for helping young actors who struggled to break into the industry. She offered guidance and encouragement, reminding them that true art does not come from fame but from honesty. Many remember her for her kindness as much as for her talent. In interviews, she often spoke about the importance of creating art that matters. She believed that performance was a form of truth-telling, and that audiences deserved to feel something real. This belief shaped her entire career. It became the reason why so many of her roles, even the smallest ones, stayed with viewers long after the credits rolled. Her passing is not just the loss of a performer, it is a loss of a voice that represented a different kind of Hollywood, one rooted in passion and authenticity. Her work stood as a reminder that art is not about perfection, but about expression. And in that expression, she left behind a legacy that will continue to inspire actors, filmmakers, and dreamers for generations to come. As the news spreads, messages continue to pour in from fans around the world. One simple post on social media read, "Thank you for showing us what true artistry looks like." Another said, "Your courage made space for so many others." These quiet words reflect the impact she had on people she never met, but who felt connected to her through her films. In her final years, Sally continued working, teaching, and sharing her story with anyone willing to listen. She spoke often about gratitude for the role she played, the people she met, and the opportunities that shaped her life. She knew her path had not always been easy, but she embraced every moment with the same spirit she brought to the stage: bold, unafraid, and deeply human. Tonight, as the film world reflects on her life. It feels as though a warm light has dimmed but not disappeared. Her performances remain. Her influence remains. Her lessons remain. And her legacy continues in every artist who chooses to take risks, to speak their truth, and to create with heart. Sally Kirkland Jr. will be remembered as a rebel spirit, a fearless performer, and a woman who gave her life to the art she loved. Her journey may have ended, but her story lives on in the echoes of every stage she walked and every screen she graced. May she rest in peace, and may her legacy continue to inspire all who follow the path of honest, courageous storytelling. A quiet sense of reflection spread through Washington today as tragic news was confirmed about Paul Robert Ignatius, the respected statesman who guided the United States through some of its most defining years. His passing at the age of 104 brings an emotional close to a life built on service, discipline, and a deep belief in public duty. For many who followed his long career, the news felt like the end of an era shaped by steady leadership and quiet strength. Paul Robert Ignatius was born in 1920. A time when the world was still healing from the First World War. He grew up in a family that valued education and responsibility, and those early lessons stayed with him throughout his life. His Armenian heritage shaped his identity and resilience, becoming a source of pride as he rose through the ranks of American public life. Before he ever stepped into government leadership, Ignatius served in the U.S. Navy during World War II. Those years left a lasting impact on him. They taught him discipline, loyalty, and the weight of national responsibility. These experiences later shaped his approach to government work, giving him a clear understanding of what military service truly meant. His rise through public service began with quiet determination. In 1964, he was appointed Under-Secretary of the Army. His reputation quickly grew. Colleagues described him as a man who spoke calmly but carried a strong sense of direction. One former staff member once said, "When Paul walked into a room, people listened, not because he demanded attention, but because he earned it." Just a few years later, in 1967, he was appointed Secretary of the Navy under President Lyndon B. Johnson. It was a challenging time in American history. The country was dealing with conflict abroad and change at home. Yet Ignatius carried the weight of his role with dignity. He oversaw complex decisions, always focusing on the safety of service members and the stability of the military. During his time as secretary, he became the highest-ranking Armenian American in the United States government. That milestone meant more to him than many realized. Friends recalled how he spoke with pride about representing a community that had endured immense hardship. His success gave hope to thousands who saw in him a symbol of progress. As news of his passing spread, tributes began to appear across government and military circles. One former naval officer shared, "He led with wisdom and patience. We trusted him because he never forgot the people behind the uniform." Another message came from a retired Pentagon official who wrote, "Paul Ignatius was the kind of leader every generation wishes for." In the middle years of his life, Ignatius continued working in roles that supported national security and public policy. He served in major news organizations, research groups, and business sectors. He believed deeply in the connection between information, government, and public understanding. Even after retiring, he stayed involved as an advisor and speaker, guiding younger generations who study leadership and public service. Family members often described him as gentle, thoughtful, and humble. Despite his accomplishments, he rarely spoke about his achievements unless someone asked. He preferred to talk about the people he worked with, the importance of integrity, and the responsibility leaders carry when making decisions that affect millions. In his later years, Ignatius watched the world change in ways he could never have imagined in his youth. Yet he remained steady in his belief that service, whether military or civilian, was one of the greatest contributions a person could make. That belief stayed with him until his final days. As tributes continued, one message from a family friend stood out. He lived a century, but he carried himself with the simplicity of someone who never forgot where he came from. Those words reflect the quiet strength that defined him. His leadership was not built on power or force, but on understanding and responsibility. Tonight, as people reflect on his life, it becomes clear how deeply his influence reached. His work shaped major departments of government. His voice guided military leaders during some of the nation's most difficult decisions. His heritage inspired communities across the country, and his character left a mark on everyone who worked beside him. Paul Robert Ignatius leaves behind more than a record of public service. He leaves behind a legacy of dignity, humility, and unwavering commitment to his country. He showed what leadership looks like when it is rooted in values rather than ambition. He showed how calm guidance can shape history just as powerfully as bold action. As his story closes, he's remembered not only as a Secretary of the Navy or a government official, but as a symbol of what dedicated service can achieve. His life reminds us that some of the strongest leaders are the ones who choose responsibility over recognition and duty over praise. May he be honored for the generations he influenced, the people he protected, and the nation he helped guide through its most defining years. And may his legacy continue to inspire those who step forward to serve with the same strength, clarity, and heart that Robert Ignatius carried throughout his remarkable life. A gentle silence moved through Hollywood today as tragic news was confirmed about Diane Ladd, the beloved actress whose presence shaped American cinema for more than 7 decades. Her passing at the age of 89 brings an emotional close to a life filled with artistry, compassion, and a deep connection to storytelling. For many fans and fellow performers, the news felt like losing a familiar voice, one that comforted, challenged, and inspired through generations of unforgettable roles. Diane Ladd's journey began in the American South, where she grew up surrounded by family values, community traditions, and a strong sense of resilience. Those early years helped shape the warmth and depth that later defined her screen performances. She entered the world of acting with a passion that never faded, even as the industry continued to change around her. Her breakthrough came in the 1970s with her powerful role in Alice Doesn't Live Here Anymore, a performance that earned her an Academy Award nomination. It was a turning point, but also a clear signal to audiences everywhere. Diane Ladd was not just a talented actress. She was a force capable of turning simple stories into emotional experiences. She carried that same intensity into films like Wild at Heart and Rambling Rose, earning 2 more Oscar nominations and solidifying her place among Hollywood's most respected performers. Her style was unmistakable. She didn't rely on dramatic gestures or exaggerated scenes. Instead, she brought honesty to every character. Her voice carried a softness that made viewers lean in. Her expressions held quiet strength. Directors often said she could communicate a lifetime of feeling with a single look. Tributes began appearing almost immediately after her passing. One fellow actor wrote, "Diane had a way of lifting every scene she touched. She made us better just by being there." Another message on social media read, "Her performances felt like home, warm, familiar, and full of truth." These words capture the emotional connection many felt toward her work. Her long career allowed her to explore many eras of Hollywood. She witnessed the rise of independent film, the shift toward modern blockbusters, and the expansion of television into global storytelling. Through every phase, she stayed focused on the craft itself. She once said in an interview, "The job is to tell the truth of a character. Fame comes and goes, but honesty lasts." That mindset guided her from her first role to her final appearance. In the middle years of her life, Diane became known not only for her work on screen, but also for her dedication to her family. Her relationship with her daughter, Laura Dern, became a meaningful part of her public story. They worked together on several projects, forming a mother-daughter acting partnership that brought rare emotional depth to the screen. Laura often described her mother as "my first teacher, my greatest example, and the bravest woman I know." As she grew older, Diane continued acting with the same devotion she showed in her early days. She appeared in films, television series, and even small independent projects, always choosing roles that felt human and sincere. She believed every story deserved care. Crew members often spoke about her kindness on set and her habit of encouraging younger actors, many of whom saw her as a mentor during her final years. She faced health challenges with quiet determination. Friends said she carried herself with grace, showing the same strength she brought to so many of her roles. She remained grateful for the chance to work, to inspire, and to share stories with the world. Tonight, the film community looks back on the legacy she leaves behind. It stretches across genres, decades, and emotional landscapes. Her performances taught viewers about love, loss, courage, and the power of everyday people. She made characters feel real, like neighbors, friends, or family members we had known for years. Her impact went beyond awards and credits. She helped shape American storytelling, showing that truth in performance can touch the heart more deeply than any special effect. Her work became a quiet reminder that the best acting comes from empathy, understanding, and a willingness to be vulnerable. A final tribute posted by a longtime director shared, "Diane didn't just play roles. She carried pieces of real people with her. That's why her work stays with us long after the film ends." His words reflect what made her legacy so meaningful. As the lights dim across film studios and messages of remembrance continue to spread, Diane Ladd's spirit remains alive through the characters she brought to life. Her career tells the story of a woman who loved her craft, cherished her family, and believed deeply in the emotional power of cinema. She will be remembered as a guiding presence, a dedicated artist, and a woman whose heart shaped every performance she gave. And even though her journey has reached its gentle end, her legacy continues in the films that touched millions and in the lives of those she inspired along the way. May she rest in peace, and may her memory remain a warm light in the history of American cinema. A quiet sadness settled over the basketball world today as tragic news was confirmed about Leonard Randolph Wilkins, the legendary figure who shaped the game both on the court and from the sidelines. His passing at the age of 88 marks the end of a life defined by calm leadership, brilliant strategy, and a deep love for the sport he helped elevate. For fans and former players, the news felt like losing a guiding voice, one that influenced generations. Lenny Wilkins was born into a working-class family in Brooklyn, surrounded by neighborhood courts, community pride, and the early dreams that often start in simple places. Basketball quickly became his language. It gave him discipline, identity, and a path forward during a time when opportunities were limited for young athletes of color. His early mentors noticed his calm nature, even back then a style of leadership that would become his trademark. His rise in the NBA began in the 1960s. As a player, Wilkins was known for his smart playmaking, steady rhythm, and ability to lift the teams around him. He wasn't the loudest voice on the court, but he was one of the most respected. Teammates often said he could see the game one step ahead, guiding plays before they even formed. His talent carried him through 15 seasons as an elite point guard, earning all-star selections and league-wide admiration. But it was his basketball mind, sharp, patient, and forward-thinking, that set him apart from nearly everyone in the sport. That mind led him naturally into coaching, where his true legend would take shape. In the mid-1970s, Wilkins transitioned into a full-time coaching role. What followed was one of the most influential coaching careers in NBA history. He led multiple teams to success, most notably the Seattle Supersonics, guiding them to their first and only NBA championship in 1979. His calm presence during that run became part of league folklore. Players said they could feel his confidence even in the toughest moments. Tributes began pouring in immediately after the announcement of his passing. One former player wrote, "Coach Wilkins taught us how to be men first, players second. He changed my life." Another message from an NBA executive read, "The league would not look the same without his influence." He shaped every level of the game. Throughout his coaching career, Wilkins emphasized discipline, teamwork, and trust. He believed success came from unselfish play and quiet confidence. Many young stars rose to greatness under his guidance, and even decades later, they continue crediting him for the leadership values that defined their careers. In the mid-body of his journey, Wilkins became known not only for his calm coaching style but also for his historic achievements. He became one of the few coaches in league history to surpass 1,300 career wins, a milestone that stood for years as one of the toughest records to reach. His approach never changed: steady, thoughtful, and focused on the long game. His accomplishments led to something extremely rare in sports: induction into the Naismith Memorial Basketball Hall of Fame, not once, not twice, but 3 separate times, first as a player, then as a coach, and finally as part of the 1992 U.S. Olympic Dream Team coaching staff. This made him one of the most decorated figures the sport has ever known. Family members described him as gentle and grounded. Away from the arena, he enjoyed quiet moments, community work, and spending time with those who mattered most to him. Even while holding some of the highest honors in basketball, he stayed humble, often saying, "It's never just one person. It's always a team." In his later years, Wilkins continued offering his wisdom to young coaches, analysts, and players. He attended events, shared stories, and spoke about the importance of respect both on and off the court. His voice carried weight, yet it carried kindness as well. Many referred to him as a guiding elder of basketball. One recent tribute on social media captured his influence with simple words: "Lenny didn't just coach basketball, he coached life." Another longtime reporter said, "Every era of the NBA carries his fingerprints. You can't talk about the game's growth without talking about Lenny." Tonight, the basketball world reflects not only on his achievements, but on the spirit he brought to every arena he stepped into. He represented the sport with dignity. He brought strategy to life. He changed teams, shaped players, and helped expand the global reach of the NBA. His legacy stretches far beyond trophies and wins. It lives in the countless athletes he mentored, the coaches he inspired, and the communities he uplifted through his charity work and leadership programs. He believed basketball could teach values that last a lifetime: teamwork, respect, and perseverance. As the final chapter of his remarkable journey closes, his impact remains carved into the history of the game. Fans will remember the soft-spoken coach with the sharp mind. Players will remember the mentor who believed in them before they believed in themselves. And the world of sports will remember the man who became a legend in every role he touched. Leonard Randolph Wilkins leaves behind a legacy built on wisdom, patience, and a love for the game that never faded. His story continues in every court where young athletes dream, in every coach who leads with calm strength, and in every fan who understands the beauty of basketball through his influence. May he rest in peace. And may his name continue to echo in the arenas, memories, and hearts of everyone whose lives he touched.